Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're not on the farm, we're down at Whiteman Park and we need to move this beautiful 1936 Bedford truck. Now this truck was used by one of the local shearing contractors, Sinnott and Dunbar, to take the shearers up north, and then they had a run that went from the very north of Western Australia right down to Albany over about 11 months. So the truck has a lot of modifications. The roof on it has been made to drop down because it was put on the state ships and sent up to, I can't remember which port now, I always say the wrong one, but the state ships calculated the shipping amount in cubic feet. So if you lowered the roof down, it was cheaper to ship. It's got this big bench seat down the middle of it, and this is where all the shearers sat. It also has an extended seat outside where people would normally sit, with a little footrest here on the mudguard. This was for one of the rouseabouts, so that they could jump off quickly to open all the gates. There's also steel lockers along underneath it here, where they packed all the food and things like that. The chassis has been extended. Underneath here, up here there's a spare tail shaft and spare springs. There's a spare axle on the chassis down there. They had to carry all the spare parts they needed to be able to fix it on the run. There's a water tank with a tap on this side. The water tank's mounted just inside the chassis here, with the lid on the tray up here. And the other thing that it has strapped under the driver's seat is 2 drums of oil, 1 drum of engine oil and a drum of gear oil in the back. So it's a really nice old truck, and we're going to get it going today and just move it out of the exhibition so that we can do some other things in here. The batteries on these trucks are under the passenger's seat here. So we're going to put the battery in next. This one is actually still a positive earth on it, as a lot of the old British vehicles were. So the red wire, the positive wire on this one goes onto the body. We of course on all of these old vehicles need to check the engine oil, so the dipstick is just down here next to the distributor. And yep, it's got plenty in it still. The other thing I like to do to make this truck easy to start, because the fuel pump on it is very slow and it doesn't have a manual primer on it, you've got to wind it over a lot on the starter motor to get fuel through to it. So what I do is I undo the union where the fuel pipe connects to the carburetor. I've already done it on this morning. I've turned the pipe where it goes into the carburetor, that's a 90-degree turn, and I've turned that so it's pointing straight upright. I've got the top of the CRC container spray pack, and it's got a tiny little breather hole in it. I put my finger over the breather hole, I put some petrol in there, and I find that I can dribble that straight down into the carburetor then. So I'll just grab some petrol and we'll do that now. The other reason for doing this is because this truck sits around for so long between runs, the petrol in the tank is very stale. This means I get fresh petrol into the carburettor for the first start when it's cold, and it just makes it start a bit easier. Once it's warmed up, it'll run better on the stale fuel, although it still coughs and splutters a bit. So this is a little bit of a slow process, but this is the way I find is easiest to do it. Okay, that's pretty much full now. So we can do the pipe back up and put the air cleaner back on, and hopefully it'll run. We've just cleaned out the carburettor on this, so I don't know if any of the settings are right, but hopefully it will start and run nicely still. Fuel line is back on, the air cleaner goes on. So here we are in the cab of the truck. We've got the choke here, we've got a speedo here, we've got the ignition here which is just on off, we've got an ignition light here to tell us it's charging, and an oil light over here which unfortunately doesn't work. I don't like having them not working. Fuel gauge and a temperature gauge, and the amp meter here. And to start it, we actually push this pedal down here on the floor. Well, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.